Most people, when you tell them what you're going to do with your life, are not going to understand. They're gonna think, okay, but where's the stable job coming from? Where's the stable income? Hi, I'm Elizabeth Russell. I am the founder and president of The Flight House. My mission is to foster creativity in people who are already creative. So to help build that and bring it out, and in particular to do that in the Catholic world, because that's where I see just a particular starvation in that area where people are not coming together as much in community, and I really want to help build those centers for people to feel that they're received in their whole person, not just in one area, but in everything that makes them who they are. I just moved out of Illinois. I was living there my whole life, and now I'm going on a road trip over the summer to find out where I'm going to be. So I actually don't live anywhere, technically. Creativity is that's been a part of me since my childhood. Since I was very little, I told stories. And as I grew up, I started to realize that I was really interested in many different formats of creativity. So I always wanted to be a writer, and I knew that from age 13. But then as I started to just write a lot, I got more and more interested in different types of storytelling. So whether that was art or videos, all kinds of things that just really drew me to wonder, am I supposed to be just a writer, or is there more to what I'm supposed to be doing with life? And I realized that there's a tendency in many creators to want to look to many different creative pathways, and that's a good thing because our creative interests kind of carry over. So creativity is important because it's multiple different things, and it's important to me because I'm not just a writer. That is what I do, I write, but ultimately, and because I've done art, I've done some music things, I can sing, but there's, not professionally or anything like that, but I can sing. But I dabble in those things, but I find a lot of fulfillment in looking creatively all around me. And I think that there's a lot of crossover interests among creatives to hear about, an artist wants to hear about a writer, and a writer wants to hear about a sculptor, and a sculptor wants to hear about an architect, because we're all united in this desire to build something and to design and create. So I started my business because it was from a personal need at first. There was definitely, I had just published a book of poetry, A Song of 2020, just poems that I wrote throughout the year of 2020. I published that at the end of the year. And the publishing industry has just changed so much that you can self-publish, and you can make a success of that. But there's a lot of, and it's no longer just the sleazy stuff that goes through, because it's very, very difficult to get into a bigger company that promotes you, and those companies aren't even coming out anymore. So the need is no longer being met by the market. So we're now finding these more creative ways to get our books out. But what I realized was that I didn't want to do this alone. I didn't want to self-promote myself by myself. I wanted to bring in other people and be able to tell their stories at the same time as I told mine. I didn't like just self-promoting, just telling my own story. It felt weird and lonely, ultimately. So I wanted to bring other people together to say, let's all tell our stories. Let's all have fun with this and get to, be writers and musicians and poets and artists and sculptors and craftsmen and knitters, and bring all of our passions together and be able to cross-promote each other. And that was something, because I was looking around, I was seeing some of my other friends. I have a friend, Mandala. I'll put in a little plug, listen to Mandala. He does rap music on Spotify, and also with a Catholic theme there. He was promoting, and he was doing it with a friend, but they were kind of alone, and I was alone, and other people all around me were alone in what they were doing. And I saw this as something that didn't have to exist, but seems to exist because we don't seem to see other options. And we're already thinking so outside the box about how do I promote myself, that it's difficult to go to that next level and say, well, how do I promote other people too? Because we're so well, I have to focus on myself. And I wanted to make that process easier to be able, because I know we all want to be able to cross promote. We all want to be able to collaborate and connect almost heart to heart with those who are also creating. And so how can we do that in a way that doesn't drain us and detract from being able to promote and share what we're doing as well? So I started the Flight House at that time because I realized that I wanted to I wanted to provide a structure. So the initial idea has changed, but that was the initial idea that got me on there. And it's now an idea that I want to bring back at some point. But for now, it is actually me in the business going around and connecting with different people. And my goal right now is to tell stories of the people that I'm meeting on Instagram, and then also to be able to just build a list, compile a list of names and contact information and portfolios of people that I'm meeting, so that if you want to hire somebody who's a Catholic creator, you can look on the list, you can look where they're located geographically, if that's relevant. You can look at like, what's their expertise? Are they somebody that I want to hire for my particular projects? And then we can have this community that's built up of people who are helping each other out and just trusting that like, oh, this is somebody that I want to go to with my needs. So part of this whole process of connecting with people is that I'm going around the country and I'm connecting with people this summer. So I'm meeting people just everywhere that I go. I'm getting to hear their stories, hear what drives them. I love that process of being able to hear people's stories and hear like what drew them as well to like what they're doing. And I get to tell their stories and really find out where do I want to end up in the country. And I know that by the end of this road trip, I'm going to have so many answers. St. Joseph is already, he's the one in charge of this whole thing. So it's called the Flight House because it's named after the flight into Egypt. And St. Joseph is our patron. So I feel like I'm kind of fleeing into Egypt as I travel all around. And I just bought a car and I call him, he's a minivan, and I call him Carl Maximilian the donkey. So St. Joseph's in front, he's leading the rope, and he's been really good everywhere that I go, just showing me where to stop, showing me where to go next, clearing up traffic when traffic gets in the way. There's been some really cool stories so far about just how he's been interceding with all of this in the year of St. Joseph. And I'm really lucky to have him by my side through all of this. If you want to live a more creative life, you have to be willing to go out of the common mold. So my advice to you is don't be afraid to ask yourself if that's something you'd be okay with. Because you have to ask first. You have to ask, am I okay with the fact that I am going to have to do things differently than the most people? Because most people, when you tell them what you're going to do with your life, are not going to understand. They're going to think, okay, but where's the stable job coming from? Where's the stable income? And then it starts getting into your head too. But something that we were just saying before this interview was that if other people can do it, then you can too. So I think the biggest thing is to surround yourself with people who are doing it, people on all levels, people who are really successful and people who are just starting, because you're going to find yourself somewhere in the middle, and that's going to be really helpful. Because you want to have mentor and mentee relationships. You want to have people you can look to and ask questions of, and you want to have people you can pass on your knowledge to, because it affirms you that you are further along this journey than you often feel like you are. Because we tend to just judge ourselves off of how far am I on this journey instead of appreciating how far we've come. So you want to be, you're not like looking like, oh, I'm so much better than these people, but rather just remembering it's affirming the truth of the fact that you are further in this journey and you get to pass on what you know to people who are behind you and bring them with you. And then look to the people ahead and say, bring me with you, because like you want that relationship with them. So my biggest advice would be, ask yourself if you're okay living unconventionally, and then find the people who are living unconventionally and ask, how are you doing that? So creativity is important to me because it's an imitation of the divine creator. And it's a need inside of me to create, to go out and to give it a different definition, to go forth and multiply, because I want to create things out there that reflect the divine order, and also just to create beauty. Like there's beauty inside of me that only I can create, and there's beauty all around me that I'm taking in to assimilate and then put forward. And so creativity is important to me because I love basking in beauty. And so I want to be able to create that, and I want to be able to experience it with other people.